Steven. Steven, why the hell are you laughing at me?
God.
Is it because before we did this podcast that I said male practice instead of
male? It's malpractice.
whatever?
Not male practice.
Yeah,
What?
we were having a Kyle Shanahan discussion if he was performing malpractice on Trey Lance.
No, you said it was male practice.
I know.
Like
I'm saying it right now before your girlfriend corrected me.
Like he's a mailman. On the first day of the job,
Gotta practice, keep putting out this mail, baby. Let me get to my real thing I was going to say. Steven!
Yeah.
Do you know why I'm glad we do these podcasts a few days after Sundays?
Because Mondays is when emotion tends to take over as opposed to rationality.
Exactly. You hit it right on the head. Because Sunday, I was kind of in a bad mood. Yeah. The Raider game had me feeling like my old self again. Good Lord. We'll get to all that. And on top of that, what the hell is this whole thing with the Kyle Shanahan malpractice with Trey Lance? This is the dumbest topic I've heard in quite some time. We'll get all to it today. Just your opinion, man. Steven Langford, Derek Papa. Steven, just real quick, what thing pissed you off most on Sunday? The Raider game outcome, or everyone thinking that Kyle Shanahan is going to kill Trey Lance?
It's a Raider game outcome. Like, what? Well, yeah. What do you mean? Of course, it was a Raider game outcome.
I know
that whole game.
You're giving into stupidity for the other one, but yes, go ahead.
Yeah, the whole game, it was just like they had the lead in the first half. I was so confident. Like after they scored the touchdown and they went into the locker room at halftime. Like I barely even remember what the final 2 minutes of the half were like, to be honest, because I was just so confident. I was like, the Cardinals stink. Kyler stinks. I can't wait to watch Hard Knocks. I can't wait to watch them implode on screen.
Think about that. Good Lord.
And then, yeah, that's going to be the high point of Hard Knocks for them. Everything else is going to be downhill from then on.
What, the first episode's the high point? That it's all downhill?
Yes. But it was the Raider game. And then like the second half, just going back and, looking at the play calling, like I know Niner fans are pissed at Kyle Shanahan due to his play calling, but hey, at least, you know what? He drew Tyler Kroft open, or whoever it was, Ross Dwelly open down the left sideline, and Jimmy G was able to throw a touchdown, and you're still able to win the game against a team that you should be beating. The Raiders, on the other hand, coached themselves and played themselves out of that game, and Kyler Murray all of a sudden remembered who he was out of nowhere in the fourth quarter. Just terrible. One of the worst losses, probably the worst loss that I've seen in the Derek Carr era. And to be honest, off the top of my head, I don't remember like a whole ton just because there are so many bad losses to choose from. But with everything that's at stake this season, that was just so bad. But anyway, that was the one that got me. What about you, Derek?
The Raider loss. And I'll get to the whole thing with Trey Lance and everything. And it's very sad, extremely sad that Trey Lance got hurt. We'll get into it.
I can't believe you said male practice, dude. I'm just like, I laughed so hard that I like choked on my own lung.
I think the most amusement you get out of this podcast is when I say shit wrong.
Well, yeah, but male practice? I've never heard anyone say male practice before.
I don't know. It's malpractice? I never heard that either.
Malpractice, yeah.
Malpractice,
malpractice.
I know the Redman album, Malpractice, I guess is the way you're supposed to pronounce it. If I was a kid, it was male practice.
It's definitely not male practice. And malpractice, I don't know if it's malpractice or malpractice. It's malpractice. Mal.
I mean, your girlfriend's a nurse.
Yes, sort of. Malpractice.
Malpractice. Okay. Now I know.
In a very loose sense of the term.
This podcast teaches me shit. Steven, you should be laughing at me. You should be helping me. Titans. Malpractice. I know now.
You haven't learned from the Titans thing. I make fun of you and you keep doing it.
I better know now because the Raiders are playing them this week. But before we get to that, let's talk about what the hell happened. So, yeah, Steven. I've said before on this podcast that and to the world prior to this podcast many years during the John Gruden first year, that I'm no longer a Raider fan.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of shit has gone down between, them sabotaging the last few years in Oakland, to the way John Gruden did things with Khalil Mack and a lot of players, to my dad being fired, and I'm no longer a diehard fan with the team. Then they go to Vegas, and I could care less about, the outcomes and everything. I still enjoy talking about them. There's still a little bit of the flame that burns inside of me that I still pay attention to them. And then this offseason, they go out and get Devontae Adams and they get Chandler Jones. I'm like, damn, that's pretty good moves. And there's expectations. And I didn't know how I was going to feel about them because I've loved this team for most of my life. And now just recently I've been like, you know what? Yeah. But this season I was like, I'm excited to watch them. Not like, like in years past when I was like, oh man, I'm going to get the Randy Moss 18 jersey. I'm going to be so excited.
Right.
This year, I expected them to be good. I actually picked them to win the AFC West. And God, man, I've seen some bad losses in my time. Like just off the top of my head, 2005. Right. I remember with no time left, Larry Johnson scoring a touchdown right over the top with no time left, just to not even like no time remaining. Dick Vermeil could have kicked a field goal. We go to overtime. He was so confident that he was going to kick the Raiders' ass on the goal line that he went for it, and sure enough, they lost. I can think of the Calvin Johnson game where the Raiders had a big lead and Hugh Jackson didn't go for 2, and in the end, we lose by 1 because I think it was Tyvon Branch or Orlando McClain were in coverage on Calvin Johnson. There's so many games in the history of the Raiders where they had leads and they just pissed it away. Anything that you think could possibly happen that's bad to them did happen.
Yeah, I think one of my least favorite off the top of my head, I was thinking back, like Nick Foles throwing 7 touchdowns back in 2013.
That was just an ass kicking, but yeah.
That was terrible. Like I know it's Nick Foles. When Nick Foles throws 7 touchdowns against you, it's not like it's Tom Brady. It's not like it's, I don't know, Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was still playing then. Like it's not like it was one of the greatest of all time. It was Nick Foles.
Were you at that game?
No, I was in college. I remember watching that.
I was in college as well. And do you remember the year before, I think around the same time, Doug Martin having a ridiculous game, like 200 yards and 4 touchdowns?
Sean Hill once looking like Joe Montana. There's been a lot. There's been a lot of bad losses, man. A lot of bad ones.
I just think of games where the Raiders had big leads and they just pissed them away. And just games where, it's always been a thing like the Raiders, they stop somebody on 3rd down, and then it's 4th and 15. And then they just complete the pass. You're like, what the fuck just happened here?
Right.
And Sunday's game had me going flashbacks to middle school, high school. I just sat there and I'm like, damn, I guess I feel a certain way about this team still because I'm in my feelings right now. This is a terrible, terrible loss. I was shocked, absolutely shocked to have a 23-7 lead. And then just everything that could go wrong absolutely went wrong. Yeah. And I know it's early in the season. Is it going to kill their season? No, absolutely not. I still have faith in this team. But at the same time, it's demoralizing. That's the best word I could describe it. Demoralizing in the sense that there's so much expectations, new city, new team, new coach, and still yet the same shit still happens. It was a very Raider loss that I've seen a million times before, and it just kills hope.
Right.
I know they're 0-2. And they were 3-0 last year, and they went to the playoffs, but still it wasn't like, oh my God, they're the number 1 seed. It's just, it kills your hope. And honestly, now going forward, I can't really expect a lot because they got to prove it to me first. And I still think they have a lot of talent on this team. They traded for a Patriots offensive lineman today, Justin Herron, I want to say. So we'll see about him. But yeah, dude, I guess the Raiders are going to have to show me something before I put a lot of faith in them going forward.
Yeah, you said, you asked me right at the beginning, why are you happy we're not doing a Monday show? Well, if this was a Monday show, I'd be on here saying the season's over, season's done. There's no point in watching anymore. Like, that's what I would have been saying on Monday. That's how pissed I was. But
I was kind of expecting you to say that today, too.
I won't be saying that until after next week if they go 0-3. If you lose to this Titans team who coughed up a lead against the Giants and lost against them in the first week of the season and just absolutely got crushed by the Bills, not even putting up more than 7 points. Like, if you can't beat the Titans, who don't even look like the 3rd best team in the AFC South right now. Like I can't even think, like, what would it be? Jags, Titans, Colts, and who else is in the AFC South?
Texans.
And Texans. Like, they look like they're the 3rd worst team in the AFC South right now.
Maybe the worst.
Maybe the worst. So if you lose next week, that's when I'll really like start to look at the season as a whole. But these first 2 weeks of the season, man, like, I kind of feel like the way Charger fans feel, where Charger fans bolstered their roster, and yet the Chargers, like they did against the Chiefs on Thursday night, they still do Chargers types of things where they end up losing the game. And it just happens because, as the saying goes, Chargers are going to Charger. Why isn't Raiders are gonna Raider
it's becoming a thing.
I mean, it should have been a thing a long while back, because we've seen this over and over again. And when you have this new regime, like with Josh McDaniels and Derek Carr, like the second half, the play calling in the second half made 0 sense. And I'm gonna pull it up right now.
Pull it up, baby.
Because, first half, all right, you're kind of slicing and dicing. You're not getting the ball to Davante Adams too much, but he got the touchdown. Mac Hollins is really your lead receiver in this game, is what it seemed like. You're getting the ball a little more to Darren Waller. Josh Jacobs is looking okay in the first half. Like, you're feeling pretty good, right? And the defense is holding up. The defense was just awesome. Like, they stifled the Cardinals, couldn't do anything. But the offense, in the beginning of the second half, after the Cardinals punt, and you have a chance to at least put some points on the board, you just go 3 and out with Josh Jacobs up the middle, and you have Derek Carr with an incomplete pass to Hunter Renfrow, and then you have this conservative pass to Darren Waller. Like, the amount of stick routes that are being thrown when it's not beyond first down and it's on third down, like, what logic is that? Do you think that Darren Waller's just going to turn up field every single time? No, the defender's going to be all over him. So that's what happened in the first drive. Then the second drive, that's their field goal drive, although they did drive downfield and it actually looked okay. They were spreading the ball around. They were running the football. But in the end, on third down, John Simpson, I believe, was the one who missed the block, or it might have been Lester Cotton. It was one of the guards, but Derek Carr had no time to throw. And actually, it was a beautiful play to get Darren Waller open in the red zone. Darren Waller wanted opportunities. They had Davante Adams and Hunter Renfrow on one side. They had 2 defenders each on those guys. So 4 defenders are on one side of the field. Darren Waller's on the other. He's one-on-one with the defender. You have him wide open in the end zone, but the offensive line couldn't hold up. So, all right, that's fine. You score a field goal, whatever. Like, I'm okay with that. They're back. But then they follow it up at the beginning of the fourth quarter after turning the Cardinals over on downs with 3 straight pass plays. Like, what the hell is the plan there? like what? And you just stop the clock completely. You get the defense back out onto the field after they just worked their asses off to turn the ball over on downs. Like, what the hell, man? And then obviously everything else that happened. Sorry, I'm really long-winded, but like that's what bothered me in the second half, man. Is just like I just didn't understand it. Didn't get it.
I mean, you forgot the most pivotal thing, though, Steven. What happened after the field goal?
What's that?
We're popping champagne for field goals now.
Oh,
Vegas.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but come on, those are just fans who are there. They're just I'm not gonna care for them.
I'm not having that. And I guess I have to deal with it because that's the Vegas crowd now. But come on, and people are saying they were celebrating the Aces winning the WNBA championship.
Maybe they were.
Whatever. Anyway, I won't dwell on that. Look, and another game that pops in my head. Remember when the Raiders had like a 15-0 lead on the Chargers in 2008, and then they like pissed it away? They're wearing white. Just things are. I'm getting flashbacks. Just games popping in my head now. As far as this game, it was a tale of 2 halves. The Raiders dominated the first half. When Derek Carr has time to throw, he can put it on point. I'm glad that he just didn't look to Davante Adams the whole game. Mac Hollins was the guy that kind of picked up the slack in this game. But yeah, dude, I mean, still though, I have gone to support Derek Carr for a long time now. And this is the year where he needs to put up or shut up.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times in this game, I thought the offensive line held up a lot better than they did in week 1. And still Derek Carr was missing throws. He just, I don't know if he doesn't feel comfortable yet in the Josh McDaniels offense, but there was times, and especially in the second half, where he's missing throws to Mac Hollins or Darren Waller, or trying to force throws to Davante Adams that gets almost intercepted by Jalen Thomas. I kind of put the blame on him for forcing throws to Hunter Renfrow there. It looked like he got, kind of messed up there towards the end of the game on the fumble recovery for Byron Murphy. That was the touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Carr doesn't look on point yet.
Right.
I mean, he looks fine at times when things are smooth and he's dumping off screen passes to Josh Jacobs and Foster Moreau, but he needs to get his timing right with Devontae Adams. I know that they were college teammates and they were best of friends, but they look a little off right now. So yeah, I feel that Derek Carr needs to improve.
Yeah, like the play that got me too, it was after the Cardinals scored the touchdown and ended up making it 23 to 15, and you just had that unbelievable 2-point conversion.
No, I want to talk about that later.
Yeah, we had that an unbelievable 2-point. It was just too much. But it's 25 to 13, and then the second play of the next drive for the Raiders, Josh Jacobs. Not the second play. They get a first down with Josh Jacobs. All right, cool. You're running the football. You're running out the clock. And then Josh Jacobs gets tackled for a 4-yard loss. And then when you're on 2nd and 14, you decide to throw a 4-yard pass to Darren Waller. And then it's 3rd and 10. And then it's just another short pass. Like, I don't know what the thought process was there. And I haven't watched the all 22, so I haven't seen like what the defense was giving them. I don't know what the coverage was like. I don't know what their thought process was, but it's just like at that point, just take a shot, man, take a chance and get a first down, because 4 yards, like what's that going to do?
Yeah. A big thing also in this game, I thought, was the defensive penalties, knocking out huge plays.
Yeah.
The Hobbs interception, gone. There was a Bilal Nichols sack, gone.
There were 3 sacks in total, I think, that were negated by penalties. Maybe it was 2, but I think it was 3, including in the first half.
PI on Amick Robertson, that would have stopped the 4th down, gone. Defensive holding, what I write here?
The holding on Nate Hobbs
knocked out the Max Crosby sack. Sorry, go ahead. What were you saying?
The holding on Nate Hobbs was stupid. The one where Nate Hobbs had the interception, I thought that wasn't that I didn't get that play.
The worst one was the holding on 4th down that knocked out the Max Crosby sack.
Yep.
Or I guess it was 4th. Like later. Actually, the Max Crosby sack happened earlier on the drive, and then on 4th down it was incomplete, but they called defensive holding on number 33 for the Raiders. Who's that, by the way? Actually.
Number 33, Roderick Teamer.
There you go.
No Tyvon Branch, in my opinion.
I know. That's what I was like. Tyvon Branch, Anthony Dorsett.
Got a lot to live up to, man.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, just terrible calls, but honestly, also dumb calls by the Raiders. Like, for how disciplined they were in week 1 and on what the penalty count was. But I remember we were talking earlier on an earlier podcast about how they don't have a lot of penalties in the preseason. And it was just like reverting back to old dumb shit, like Raiders doing a bunch of penalties. But let's talk about the 2-point conversion play. So where the hell is Chandler Jones? Like, this guy is one of the biggest sought-after free agents. And I know last year he had 5 sacks in one game, week 1 against the Tennessee Titans. And then we never saw him again. He had, I think, 5 sacks the rest of the season. He finished with 10. So he kind of went away.
Right.
The Raiders sign him, and you think he's going to play well off of Max Crosby. And I thought that he was going to wreck this game. Playing your old team, you know what Kyler Murray does. So, and, I know it's early, but Patrick Graham's illusion of complexity, does it involve pass rush? Like, good Lord, right? Man.
I know.
So the 2-point conversion play, I don't understand having everyone drop back into coverage, even Chandler Jones, and having 2 300-pound defensive linemen try to chase Kyler Murray, because eventually they're going to get tired and give up. The best thing I saw on Twitter was this play is like the defense, like the guy lost his controller. And after it was like, where the hell's the defenders? Those guys just gave up. It's tough for 300-pound guys to keep running the whole time and try to get Kyler Murray. Eventually, Kyler Murray is going to use his speed and just run into the end zone untouched.
I thought you were going to say that the one where like there's a scouting report on Kyler which says he runs around and scrambles like a kid who's trying to like take his phone away from his parents.
That'd be apt. That'd be very apt.
Yes. Yeah, like that one. No, I agree with you, man. Like, I don't know if having Denzel Perryman on the field would have helped, because Jayon Brown and Divine Diablo, like, they had really good games or at least Divine Diablo did.
At times.
To me, like, he got a lot better against the run. In the first week against the Chargers, he was just like running into blockers. This time he was actually like making a decision and hitting the correct gap. But I don't know if Denzel Perryman would have made a difference. I'd like to think so, but I agree, man. How do you only have 2 guys rushing as Kyler Murray's just sitting around back there? Like, how do you not? I mean, I know it's easy for me to say, but can't you put a spy on him or something? Like, why not? Isn't there a guy following him around? Like, I'm looking at the receivers because the All-22 was posted to Twitter, and they had the Benny Hill music in the background.
It's pretty good,
which was really good. But I might have to pull that one up. But like, everyone's just running side to side. Nobody's paying attention to Kyler Murray, the most dangerous player on the field. Like, yeah. I give Murray a lot of credit for that throw that he made. That unbelievable throw to AJ Green on that 4th down play. Like, that was just unreal. But the defense, just trying not to blame a lot of them. Like, if I had to put a percentage on it, I'm blaming, like, I'd say 80% on the offense and 20% on the defense, because the defense really did do their job. It's just those stupid penalties.
But if they made one play, just one goddamn play, the game would have been over.
Just one. That's how important football is. Just one play, but it didn't happen. Just so frustrating, dude. Like, I'm watching in disbelief. Like, I didn't have a reaction, you know? I mean, we have these new neighbors now. Got the new upstairs neighbors since
the hoarder's gone.
Since hoarder cat lady's gone. But we have new neighbors now, and I think I let out like a real, like a yell of frustration, like a primal scream. like what the hell just happened? I had to rewind it because I was like, did I really just watch that live? It looked like a highlight, like you're watching a highlight on YouTube. That's what it looked like in real time. It was so annoying.
It was infuriating. It was classic Raiders of just like, is anybody going to make a play? Like, this guy's running around for 20 seconds and no one's going to tackle him.
Yep.
That was ridiculous. I was texting you while the game was going on, and even though it was 20-0 and then 23-7, there was just a part of me that was like, this doesn't feel good. Nothing about this feels good. You could tell the tide was turning a little bit. The Cardinals offense was rolling a lot better in the second half. The one that I'm upset about is, so after they score the touchdown, the first one, the Raiders come back and it's 20-7. And Darren Waller has a chance to score a touchdown and he drops it in the end zone. It was a great play by the Cardinal defender, but Darren Waller's got to make that play. And
it's hard for me to say that, though. That was a really good play on the ball.
I understand that, but if Darren Waller is the tight end we think he is, and he's a great player, but let's just say he makes that catch. It's 27-7 then. Or you go for 2 and make it 28-7.
Yeah.
I don't think you're losing that game.
Right.
You give them every opportunity to come back in that game. It was just infuriating. The fourth quarter, no one could tackle. Josh Jacobs was running well, and then he wasn't when the play calling became predictable. And you hit it on the head perfectly, Stephen. A 4-yard loss. They start dinking and dunking down the field. I thought the whole point of getting Davante Adams was to go deep to him, but I guess Derek Carr just didn't feel comfortable. I don't know what the deal is there. And it was like, I heard Josh McDaniels after the game say, we got to be more aggressive on offense. Well, my man, it's kind of on you since you're the play caller. So I didn't think the play calling was timid. I think they were aggressive. They were throwing the ball a lot in overtime. Like they were when they were in field goal range and Hunter Renfrow fumbled the ball. They weren't looking to run the ball to get more yards, which they probably should have done. Right. Taking a page out of the Charger game a year ago, at Week 18. They set up that field goal because Josh Jacobs hit a run on the 50-yard line. I thought they could have run the ball a little bit more in overtime. It wasn't so much that their play calling wasn't aggressive. It was ineffective. They weren't doing anything. Derek Carr was missing guys. They were being aggressive when they probably should have been conservative and running the ball a little bit more. So it was just frustrating. The whole goddamn thing, honestly, like that final drive, like when you stop Kyler Murray on that 4th and 1, and then you give the ball back to them.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is the play with Benny Hill.
Yep.
Let's just watch it because this is just ridiculous. It's so good. Oh my God. Yeah, there's just 2 guys rushing. What do you think is going to happen? Oh my God. That's That's just bad defense.
I don't know what's my favorite part about this though. Like, I hate everything about it, but just watching, like, I think it's DJ Humphries and Jonathan Hankins just in the end zone, hand fighting the whole time, like on the right side of the screen. Like, watch. Just like right here.
Yeah.
All right, well, nothing I can do. Oh, back this.
Those guys aren't going to catch him. This is so ridiculous. Anyway.
Like look at Max Crosby too. just.
Yeah. And then, so before overtime, Max Crosby had an opportunity to sack him on 4th and 1. And kind of the same thing with Darren Waller. It's very tough. I understand. Sometimes athletes make better plays than you, but you just got to make that play. If Max Crosby sacks Kyler Murray, then the game is somewhat over.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you feel good about it, time runs off. There's just little plays here or there. Like Jonathan Abram had the ball in his hands on a pick and dropped it. That would have ended the game. Just so many damn things. And then Dwayne Harmon making a great play in overtime, knocking the ball out of A.J. Green's hands. And then the Raiders piss it away with Hunter Renfrow fumbling the ball and then having Byron Murphy return it back for a touchdown. Supposedly, this is the biggest lead that was given away by the Raiders, 20-0. I have a hard time believing that because I feel like they've given up bigger leads than that before, but that is the case.
No, they just barely had 20-point leads before.
Yeah. And also, you feel I was close. Devontae Adams scored a touchdown. Darren Waller scored a touchdown. I was looking for my Hunter Renfrow touchdown. If that would have happened, this game is in hand. It's equal parts on the offensive defense, Stephen, because you're in this position because your offense went cold in the second half. If your offense is who we think it's supposed to be, it keeps going and it scores more in the second half. It doesn't matter if Kyler Murray's putting up points. You have supposedly one of the best offenses in football. You have Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, and Matt Collins is making plays for you. They should have scored more points in the second half. That wasn't because they weren't aggressive or because they were timid. It was just the fact that the offense was ineffective for 2 weeks in a row.
Yep. And the fact that it's in the month of September, like, this is the time when Carr is supposed to thrive. When you get through November and December, that's when his numbers really start to drop. By the time we get there, I'll be pulling up those stats. I'll be pulling up his Football Reference.
I know.
Showing you like the month by month. It's crazy, the precipitous drop that it takes. I don't even know if that's the right word to use to describe there. But I was watching Inside the NFL, at least the first half of it, and Phil Simms and all of them were talking about, all the
Who's
games.
on that now? Julian Edelman?
Yeah, Julian Edelman. Last week it was Phil Simms, Edelman, and then Brandon Marshall, and then Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis was there too.
Okay.
But this second episode, it also has James Brown. James Brown is the main host.
I feel good.
Then Phil Simms. Then it was Edelman, and then it was Michael Irvin yesterday. But I was watching it, and Simms was talking about, I think, the comeback with the Dolphins and the Ravens, which was just insane. But he was just saying the amount of confidence that you get as a quarterback when your team scores a touchdown, especially in the second half, like, that's when it really starts to get rolling. And we saw that in the first half of this game. We saw it in the second half of week 1 between the Raiders and the Chargers, when the Raiders actually started scoring a little bit. But man, like, if anything that I want to see with the Titans game next week, it's not how they start, it's how they finish. And I want to see them score a touchdown in that damn second half, because they did not do that. They failed to do that. 3 points on the board. Just can't accept that. Can't accept that.
You know what's crazy is that this game was the complete opposite of the Raven game last year and the Charger game last year, where you thought that both of those games were going to be like same old Raiders. They're going to piss it away. Derek Carr throws an interception on the goal line, and you think the Ravens are going to win that game. They survive and win. Then the Raiders give up, I think, two fourth quarter touchdowns to the Chargers with like no time left. It was very similar to this game. And then they go to overtime, and in the end, the Raiders prevail. You thought that things were going to change, and it's just devastating. So the Raiders are 0-2, and they let one slip away that's really bad. And like I said earlier, they got to prove it to me that they're going to be a good team. I think Rich Eisen put it perfectly this week, where he said the autumn win is pissing me off because you thought this team was going to be different, and they just reverted back to old ways. So pretty disappointing.
That was the most disheartening thing, man. Is you thought this was a new regime. All right, we got Ziegler and McDaniels, and now it's just the same old stuff. And The latest from practice today is it looks like Hunter Renfrow missed out due to a concussion. So
I thought that, I don't put the whole blame on Derek Carr, but I thought he was forcing that pass to him, and Hunter Renfrow was not in a good position to make that play. So
no,
after that, the whole sequence in overtime was just like they caused so many heart attacks.
Yeah.
Derek Carr almost throws a pick to Jalen Thompson. Then Hunter Renfrow fumbles, but it's recovered by Foster Moreau. Then Hunter Renfrow finally fumbles, and the game's over. So, real quick, I want to mention this. After the game, a Raider fan smacked Kyler Murray in the face when he was. You see this?
Yeah.
So a Raider fan smacked Kyler Murray in the face, and I've been reading a lot of things that say same old Raider fans. While I don't condone the actions of the person that did that, that is terrible. You don't smack people, especially athletes on the field. Like, that's just disrespectful. It's not the same old fans. Full disclosure, the same Raider fans that showed up to games in Oakland are not coming to the games in Vegas. I remember filming with our good friend Elena Matzorkis, and we were showing Raiderville back in the day. And we were showing all the fans and what they were like. And a lot of them were the typical people you would see in the black hole, wearing the masks, having the face paint. And we were told by Mark Bedane and a lot of people in the Raider organization, you need to get rid of those.
Was
people.
this was this the Raiderville game where it rained? We went to, and there's
no. The last one of the year, no.
Oh, okay, because you were on like the border of hypothermia, and I was just laughing at you the whole game.
It was cold. It was cold as shit. No, but in all seriousness, Raiders organization doesn't want those fans around anymore. They didn't like that. They told us all the time, don't refer to the black hole because we don't want those type of fans at the games anymore. So when you say that, same old Raider fans, no, those are some rich Raider fans in Vegas smacking the shit out of Kyler Murray. So don't put them in the same category.
Well, I also have a different take on it. It didn't look like he was trying to smack him in the face. It looks like he was trying to celebrate with Kyler. Like, he had no animosity with it. He was smiling. Like, did you see the slow-mo?
I did see the slow-mo. All I saw was a guy, a hand just smacking him in the face.
I watched it like 4 or 5 different times. And
so you think he's trying to give him a high five?
It looked like he was trying to give him like a high five or a tap on the shoulder pads. And like,
you would think at this point though, that would be, dude,
he smiled. And then when Kyler Murray went back at him, he like went, like, you know what I mean? I know that's great for the podcast listeners, but
it was a great reaction.
But like, seriously, he looked like he was, it was truly accidental. That was just from my perspective. Maybe I'm wrong, but the guy looked like he had a smile on his face when he was trying to celebrate with him. Although he did have a Raider jersey on, which would make 0 sense. But at the same time, to your point, not a lot of real Raider fans out there. Some that are just out there because, well, it's Vegas.
Yep, exactly. If that's the case, that's unfortunate. But from all indications, it sounded like he was getting smacked in the face. So whatever the truth is, hopefully we find out soon.
Well, let's see. We'll by the lay of the law, what happens.
Nice authoritative voice there, Stephen.
Thank you. Male practice.
Let's move over to the 49er game. They won, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you asked their fan base, and they're like, "No, it's the worst week ever."
Well, that's understandable.
How?
Because even though I know we're going to have this conversation and you're probably going to ask me like how far they can get, but like, you're probably just going to go to the playoffs. You're probably going to lose. And your quarterback that you were expecting to be the franchise guy, like, he no longer can be developed, and you lost him early on in week 2. Like, that just sucks. That sucks.
It sucks. Believe me. I feel for Trey Lance.
Yeah.
On that play, he breaks his ankle and he's out for the season. Kyle Shanahan confirmed today he's coming back later in the year. He's done.
Okay, let's put it this way. On Christmas Eve, did the Raiders beat the Colts?
Yes.
Well, Derek Carr broke his ankle, and you kind of knew after that. It might be a little different because you had Connor Cook coming in.
Hold on. We're comparing Matt McGloin and Connor Cook to Jimmy Garoppolo?
No, not at all. But I'm just saying that you could still be upset even though your team wins.
I think you're upset for the wrong reasons, and I'll get to all that. But let's just talk about the game itself. Weather wasn't an issue. It did rain, but not too bad. And you wondered if the injury to Elijah Mitchell was going to stop the running game. No, Jeff Wilson Jr. ran very well, 84 yards. Deebo Samuel, whatever this thing was in the offseason, just pure bullshit. This guy loves to run in the backfield, broke off a 51-yard run. The offense was humming, and then unfortunately, Trey Lance did suffer the broken ankle. And I feel for him, and we will talk about that more.
That run was crazy, dude.
Yeah.
That was insane.
Deebo's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was just nuts. How does anybody do that? How do you even find like a lane to run through? Most guys would just run forward and kind of just dive forward and not fumble the football. You know, they try and protect it.
Now he's a hard runner.
But instead, he just it wasn't just that. It wasn't just that, dude. He was like, he had some moves. I kind of got on him before the season. I said, as a running back, he kind of just runs straight downhill. I don't know if he has a lot of wiggle, but man, he proved me wrong on that one. He had some moves there for sure.
I thought Jimmy played fine. Jimmy played fine for a guy that, didn't practice with the team in training camp, did his own thing, was expecting to go to a different team. Obviously, it's easy when you've been playing with that team for a long time. You pick up the offense.
Right.
But I thought he played fine. I was very surprised by the aggressive nature that Kyle Shanahan did sometimes with like deep throws to, who was it? Brandon Ayuk. He had like a fourth down. A fourth down he threw deep into the end zone. That's not something you see Jimmy Garoppolo do that often.
Right.
Yeesh. And then, God, DK Metcalf with the sickest catch that did not count. You see that play?
Yeah.
Good
Lord. The one-handed grab.
But I think the Seahawks kind of showed us the offense that we thought they were going to have. It was very different than Monday night. Obviously, very different playing first game of the season. The Broncos defense wasn't playing well. But I thought the Seahawks kind of showed us who they were. DJ Dallas throwing a pass in the end zone that was picked off. That was horrendous.
That was so funny. That was hilarious. Like that play is clearly worked in practice. Like you wouldn't run that play out of nowhere and just force DJ Dallas to throw the ball. They've clearly worked on that. But that one just slipped out of his hands, and that's the risk you have when you're going with the running back.
Defense played fantastic. Nick Bosa with 2 sacks. Just a dominant effort by the defense. That's what we expect from them. I want to bring up this point. So let's say that the Niners that ended up releasing Jimmy Garoppolo. Can we just admit that it was smart of them to actually do this, to keep him around for what the inevitable happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, now it is.
So imagine if they released him and the Seahawks signed him. Can you imagine if Trey Lance broke his ankle against the Seahawks and Jimmy Garoppolo was playing for the Seahawks? How much of a, oh my God, we've all would have had that day?
Yeah, no, that would have been terrible. Like we would have really, like, you think we're getting on Kyle Shanahan for running Trey Lance too much. Like we would have been on John Lynch. We would have been on Shanahan. We would have been on
the same
everybody.
People that are blaming Kyle Shanahan right now would have been like, John Lynch, how you not going to sign Jimmy Garoppolo back?
Right. Yeah.
All right. So in the end, the Niners have a dominant 27-7 win. That should be the talking point, right? No. So the Trey Lance's injury. I am in all honesty, listen, it's devastating. Obviously, to go from the keys were supposed to be given to this guy, he was supposed to be the starting quarterback, and then for him to have his ankle broken and his whole season is gone, and then it's 2 years.
And I'm not laughing at the injury. I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at the injury. I just
you laughing at male practice.
I'm more laughing at you and just knowing where you're going to go with this. So I'm just anticipating it. Definitely not laughing at the injury. I apologize if anyone thinks I actually am. That's terrible. Bad time to laugh.
No, you're all good, man. But I feel for Trey Lance because this is going to have 2 years into it, and we don't know much about him. And he's going to go into his third year. If he has a third year and all, I got to be honest. Parts of me think, what does the future hold for Trey Lance now? Because if Jimmy Garoppolo goes out and has a good season, do you feel comfortable with Trey Lance having a broken ankle coming back, to giving the reins to him and not having some insurance again by signing Jimmy Garoppolo to a new deal?
That's what I said when Jimmy was signed, and part of the reason why I didn't like the move, because I operated under the assumption with the Jimmy thing. I operated under the assumption that Trey was just going to be healthy throughout the year, and even if he does struggle, like that's no reason to put in Jimmy Garoppolo like Like if Trey struggles, he struggles. You live and die with Trey Lance. You live and die with his development. Like it's fine. You got your windows open here. But I was saying that like with Garoppolo, if he were to come in, and what I was seeing before was, well, he's going to be a backup quarterback and they're just going to let him walk in 2023. Like I saw insurance policy. Now they have a chance just in case Trey Lance struggles to go to the Super Bowl, go to the playoffs, and then Garoppolo is going to get paid elsewhere. He can walk in 2023 and the Niners can move on with their young quarterback who they drafted with the 3rd overall pick. And I said, is it really going to be that simple where it's just, yeah, he's just going to walk in 2023. Everything's going to be all good if he plays this year. Like, yeah, I don't know if it's going to be that easy of a decision depending on how far they make it into the playoffs. But that's kind of what my original thought was.
Yeah. And yeah, so I don't know what the future holds. I mean, this could be a recurring thing where Jimmy Garoppolo is back with the Niners. And I know a lot of fans are going to be upset about that. But in reality, the guy is taking you to 2 NFC championship games. And I know it's not the sexiest quarterback play we've ever seen, and people get frustrated by it. And you want it to improve because let's face it, the Rams got Matthew Stafford, and you wanted to be just as good as them as far as quarterback play. But honestly, Jimmy Garoppolo's record against Matthew Stafford and the Rams is 2-1. I know they lost in the most pivotal game last season, but I feel more confident, and this is the part that people are going to be mad at me about, I feel more confident with Jimmy Garoppolo playing the Rams in 2 weeks than I did with Trey Lance. The sad thing is that, yes, we all wanted to see Trey Lance get an opportunity, but I do feel more confident with Jimmy Garoppolo going forward as the quarterback this season. It's a big ask to ask a quarterback who didn't play much in college to be given the reins over to a Super Bowl caliber team and just expect it to be a flawless thing that he's going to take them from here to here. And that's why I picked them to go 8-9, because it is a big question mark to go to a quarterback that has not had a lot of experience. You know why Trey Lance?
But we won't know that though. Like that's the thing. It's his season's done, so we won't know whether you're right. Like what you're acting like it's automatic that they'd go 8-9, like with Trey starting. Like that's not true. That's just not true. You don't know because we're not going to see it.
No, that's fair. But I also, and what, okay, let's be honest here, Steven. Are you more confident in Jimmy Garoppolo as the quarterback going forward than you were with Trey Lance?
Yes, but at the same time, like, I thought this was also a season that was going to kind of help you develop for your future at the same time. But like, when you did watch, when you watch Jimmy, of course, he looked great on the first 4 throws where he went 4 for 4 and had the wide open. It was the Jimmy Garoppolo experience. Like he had the wide open tight end on the left.
I know.
Like, oh my God, look at the throw that Jimmy made. It's like, no, he was wide open. Kyle Shanahan schemed him open. And then Garoppolo kind of just looked meh for the rest of the time. So of course, because he's a veteran and he's taken him there, of course, you're going to be more confident, but I'm not confident that they're going to win the Super Bowl either way if Jimmy's there.
No, I'm not saying that. I think they're more confident. I'm more confident in them having more success this season than an inexperienced quarterback. It's just in the devil that you know, honestly. Like we know Jimmy Garoppolo. We know what he's capable of and what he's not capable of. But to be completely honest, a few throws here or there, and that guy's a Super Bowl winner. If he completes that pass to Emmanuel Sanders, the whole narrative about him has totally changed.
Yeah, true. But he didn't.
So I believe me, I know. And then everybody goes to Kirk Cousins throwing 3 interceptions against the Eagles, and everybody's like, well, that's the guy that
but also
Kyle wanted.
That's Kirk Cousins 5 years later. Like that's a totally different Kirk Cousins. And I know, and then I'd get the the texts of, oh, well, he doesn't know how to develop quarterbacks, blah, blah, blah. But whatever.
Let's talk about that for a second.
What?
Have the Packers developed Jordan Love?
No.
Do they have? Do they have an obligation to do that?
I believe so behind the scenes, yeah. But not when you have an MVP.
Okay. This is not a comparison as far as them as players. But when you have Jimmy Garoppolo around and he's had success with his team in the playoffs, isn't it hard to develop a quarterback that you draft as a rookie? It's just difficult to do.
Yeah.
Our good buddy John Curley, I love him to death, but he tweeted the other night, the Niners have screwed this up by not developing Trey Lance. And I let it be, but in my mind I was thinking, they didn't develop Jim Drunkenmiller. If you remember him from the 90s, he was supposed to be Steve Young's heir apparent. and he just didn't get the opportunity because Steve Young was playing well. Sometimes things just happen where you draft a guy, and I know all the draft capital and all of that shit, but sometimes when you're a team that's on the cusp of a Super Bowl, then why would you screw it up with this? And they were planning to get a veteran quarterback. This was their last option. It was Matthew Stafford. It was who else was in that offseason? It was Matthew Stafford, Deshaun Watson. And in the end, they went with the rookie quarterback they thought was the best. Maybe they thought it was Mac Jones, but they settled for Trey Lance.
So you're telling me that Curley suggesting that they should have developed Trey Lance and made that a hashtag weekend project?
I love John Curley's weekend projects.
I didn't listen to a damn thing you said after you mentioned John Curley's name. I was just trying to think of a joke the whole time.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. As far as this whole thing that Kyle Shanahan should be arrested for getting Trey Lance hurt.
Yeah. Malpractice,
Malpractice, baby. Malpractice.
There you go.
What are we doing?
I know.
What the hell are we doing? And this is said by people that you and I are, really close with, they're good friends. What is going on?
Like, here's
go ahead before I blow up.
Here's where I think Niner fans are coming from is they have this idea that Trey's just a pocket passer. And I don't know where they got this idea from. Maybe it was from a couple of games last season, but still he was running the football. But it's this idea, like it's this groupthink idea that he's a pocket passer. Like all of a sudden it was just said, but I'm like, I went back and looked at the stats with, him playing at North Dakota State.
I was going to lead to this.
He had 30 runs in a single game in the FCS championship, excuse me. And then there was one I looked at where I was looking at the amount of attempts that he had compared throwing attempts compared to runs. And the amount of the ratio of throws to runs was 1.16. So he barely threw more than he ran in college. And then I look at the attempts to run ratio now, and the ratio is even higher. So I know it's different, and everyone's going to say, well, he's facing, he's facing these guys in college. They're not going to do anything. He's facing NFL players now. And I can hear all of it, but not in week 2 when you've ran the ball 3 times in week 2 and you ran the ball 16 or whatever it was against the Bears out of necessity. I just thought it was too early for me to hear any of that stuff. But I think it all stems from this idea that he's a pocket type of quarterback who can just use his legs. I don't know. I think Kyle Shanahan said something as much before last year. I think we can actually also look at his broken finger. He had to change the entire grip. The reason arm fatigue was a thing was because he changed his grip and he had to work in the offseason very hard. And I guess, someone heard arm fatigue, his arm's tired or something like that, but it was due to the broken finger and having to change up everything. Maybe that had something to do with it too. There's a lot, man.
I know.
And any fan who says, hey, just run him to the outside. Well, go and watch that Cardinals game and then go and watch that play at the goal line. Trey Lance is a very physical runner when he gets to the outside. He doesn't know how to slide. He slid for the first time this preseason in his life, he said. He's not used to it. I think Kyle Shanahan was sitting there going, well, you know what? These QB powers, he's not going to take the tough hits because the injury that he took, it was a fluke injury. It wasn't a tough hit. He's going to take the tough hits on the outside. I'm willing to let him run and do these power runs, these bash plays, bash concepts, whatever it is. I don't know. I just thought the quarterback's a runner, and he throws too. Don't get me wrong, but it's just this idea that he's a pocket quarterback. I don't know. I just don't buy it.
On the play, it's a QB option. So if he hands the ball off to the running back, that's his call. He called for the ball to be in his hands.
Yeah, I know.
And if I remember correctly, the night that Trey Lance was drafted, he goes on KMER that night and says. He was asked, "Are you looking to be more of an RPO offense with Trey Lance?" And he responded, "Yes."
Yeah,
and this is what it is.
But it's just you can't want a guy who's a dual threat quarterback like Trey Lance was touted to be, which I think that he still could be. To be honest, I really do think there's a lot of upside there and a lot of potential, a lot of talent. I truly believe that, but you can't just say, "Well, we want a dual threat quarterback," but you know what? We don't. We want him just being. Perfect.
Yeah, seriously. it's not the same thing, but like, are we really going to act like you guys wanted Mac Jones the whole time, and now you get Trey Lance who's running all these athletic plays, and you're like, well, that's not how we want to use him.
Well, we want a quarterback who's a pocket passer, but at the same time, we want a guy who can burst to the outside and scramble and be a Patrick Mahomes and a Josh Allen type and get out of pressure and run for first downs.
Let's be real here. Justin Fields is just, they're afraid to have him throw right now. He's got 28 pass attempts on the whole damn season. Trey Lance is 31. Give Kyle Shanahan some credit here. So this whole notion that Trey Lance is a pocket quarterback, that's not the case. That's not what he was drafted for. In all reality, let's be honest, Kyle Shanahan has been using his strengths, that what he can do as a raw talent in this league, he's using his strengths as a runner. Could be the case that he doesn't believe in him as far as a passer. That comes in time. But Justin Fields is doing the same shit in Chicago. They're running him incessantly in that offense, and no one's saying anything about that until he gets hurt. So Matt Eberflus should be arrested tomorrow.
I just think that I'd be willing to hear these talking points. Like, I'm tired of the he's on pace to run this amount this season. Like, Jalen Hurts ran 30 times in the first 2 games of the time that he started in his NFL career over Nick Foles. And I think he had like 8 or 9 after that. It's not just, he's going to average 16 runs a game. That's what it's looked like the first 4, but there's plenty of other games to go. It's not like he's going to, it's like when you say when a player has like a multi-home run game in the first game of a baseball season, then you're like, oh, well, he's on pace for 474 home runs or whatever that crazy number would be. Maybe 634. I don't even want to think of it. Whatever. I don't even want to think of the math.
2 is on pace to throw for 50,000 yards this season.
Right. Like, I won't buy that, but I'd be willing to hear this at the end of the season. I think that's really where I'm at. Like, but not now, not the second week when it's the first quarter. And then like the whole thing where it's like, well, why doesn't he drop those plays for Jimmy? Kyle's a sequential. Or why
Jimmy can't run?
No, I mean, why'd you call those plays for Jimmy afterwards where he's throwing deep and they're opening the field up? I'm sorry, I worded that wrong. But
because Jimmy's a better passer than Trey Lance right now. That's
not only that, but Shanahan's a very sequential play caller. He sets up one thing in a previous drive to make you think you're going to do it, and then he's going to do something completely to do a completely other thing. Like, in my opinion, what they probably were doing was just making them think, well, we're going to run a few powers here and there, but afterwards I'm really going to let it loose. It's just, you're going up against a Seahawks team that you need to beat. You can't start the season 0-2 and you're in a point in the game where you're just trying to score. Like, I hear all this stuff about letting him develop in the pocket and take his lumps and, make the bad throws, learn from them. But you don't have time for that at the beginning of a game in week 2. You got to get out to an early lead and you got to get out to one fast. And they actually did in the first half after all.
I know everybody's going to get so tired of the comparisons, but after we saw the injury, the next day on Monday night, we watched Jalen Hurts run and we saw Josh Allen run. While it's not the same, like Josh Allen's more of a pocket quarterback these days, even though he moves around, is mobile, I should say. When he started in this league, I know you're making funny for my pronunciation.
Are you an English person talking about cell phones? What are you doing?
I sounding like Bane. Let's go mobile. Josh Allen had to prove himself in this league as a passer first. He was a runner. He was doing QB powers. If you look up the most rushing touchdowns in Bills history, it goes Thurman Thomas, O.J. Simpson, and Josh Allen as a quarterback.
Yeah, actually, I saw a tweet go viral of like all these misses that Josh Allen had, and then like just saying like, can you believe all these people who criticize Josh Allen are doing the same to Trey Lance right now? And like, do you not remember what everyone was saying about Josh Allen at the beginning of his career? They were saying he's not an NFL quarterback. I called him the best running back on the Bills.
Yep.
Like that's how we were talking. We were talking about Josh Allen the very same way. We just don't now because, I mean, he's improved in a way that there's not much precedent for, to be honest. Like Josh Allen is an anomaly at this point.
I think the Bills, their first year with Josh Allen, went like 6-10. So there wasn't huge expectations. Jalen Hurts, first year with the Eagles when he filled in for Carson Wentz, didn't win a game. They had time to develop. This team is on the cusp of something, so they didn't want to give, Trey all the time in the world. They did, actually. This whole season was set for that, and unfortunately, he got hurt. Here's the reality of the situation. Niner fans want someone to blame. They want to blame Kyle for having this situation happen. And they're mad because they have another season of Jimmy Garoppolo. That's the truth. You're mad because Trey got hurt and you want to blame Kyle and you're just tired of Jimmy. You're tired of him and his Nona and the BMTs at Subway. You're just tired of it all. You want shit to change.
But I can understand that though. Like, I don't know, man. I just like the
NFC. Too bad.
The NFC and championship and the Super Bowl. Like I get it. That's great, but it's no guarantee that he's going to lead you there again this year. Like, no matter how wide open the NFC looks right now, like week 17, it's going to look different. It really, week 17, week 18, everything within the NFC is going to look different. Teams pick things up. They start to understand how everyone, responds, the communication, all of it. Like, you're not going to see a lot of games like you had this week because guys were wide open on a lot of plays where they were just wide open downfield because the defense is working on their communication. I just think teams improve. So it's no guarantee you're getting back to the playoffs. And I think a lot of fans really just, I don't even know if playoffs were on their mind. I just really think they wanted to see if they had a franchise quarterback in Trey Lance, and you're not going to see it. I think that's what people are angry about.
Well, what would you rather have? Would you rather have a playoff season or a season dedicated to develop Trey Lance?
Man,
because we had a caller the other day that put it perfectly. This franchise had Tim Rattay playing quarterback,
right?
Had other just, Ken Dorsey, who's now the offensive coordinator for the Bills. You guys can suck it up with Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm sorry. I'm tired of this feeling sorry for Niner fans because they have to deal with Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy's a fine quarterback, and I know I'm the son of the guy that loves Jimmy Garoppolo and everything, but I think he's fine. I think he's doing the job. I know you could probably do better, and that's what you're hoping with Trey Lance, but he's not ready yet. And unfortunately, he got hurt, and they were dedicated to making this season for Trey, and unfortunately, they signed Jimmy Garoppolo as the most clutch move, I think, of having a great insurance policy and having him as a backup. We all thought that Jimmy was going to get traded as soon as a quarterback went down this league, and sure enough, it was Trey Lance, and that's unfortunate and really sad.
That's what adds into it, isn't it? The conspiracy theory stuff. Because
what conspiracy?
You make one connection. Well, did they sign Jimmy Garoppolo as a backup because they knew Trey Lance was going to get hurt since they were going to run him into the ground and they were doing it so often? You know what I mean? Like, that's the type of thing. That's what fans do. That's how fans think. Because it's as if Trey Lance is like the little brother, right? Who you want to see thrive because it's a third overall pick, man. Like, you traded 2 picks up to get him. A lot of more. You got a lot of future to mortgage there. Like, as a fan, I totally understand that. Even if you maybe don't believe entirely that Trey Lance is the guy, like, he's supposed to be your future starting quarterback, and you're not going to see him. Like, that's like, I understand why
it's
fans
frustrating.
Are pissed. I don't think the blame needs to be put around, like, especially at Kyle Shanahan, the way that it is. But like, I can understand why they're frustrated. I really can.
Yeah, but also, like, shit happens, man. QBs get hurt in this league. Should Joe Gibbs be locked up for Joe Theismann getting his ankle broken by Lawrence Taylor?
Yep.
Is Art Shell a terrible person for having for Bo Jackson having his hip misplaced? This is ridiculous.
Pretty weird how the sequence of events went, how it's like Trey gets hurt and you want Trey to be a pocket passer, but then like
you should have drafted Mac Jones.
Well,
let's be real.
But then on the first play of Jimmy Garoppolo, the first snap for Jimmy Garoppolo, he gets crushed as he's thrown. like that's what you're going to get as a pocket quarterback. And I know fans would probably say, well, Trey Lance could evade that pressure. Not on that one. Not when your offensive lineman just completely misses the block. You got, like, everyone gets sacked. Like, running quarterbacks that can evade pressure gets sacked. It's just a tough reality, though, that it's an unfortunate injury. It really is.
It's unfortunate, and I understand the frustration, but at the same time, you've seen this guy take your team to the playoffs before, and yes, he's not the greatest thing of all time, but he's capable of doing this. So I'm not with the whole I'm so miserable because the Niners they had Trey Lance out for the season. You can feel sorry for Trey Lance. You can feel very sorry for him, and I do. But to have this whole mentality of the season sucks now because Jimmy Garoppolo's our quarterback again is just stupid to me.
Well, you're not a Niner fan, though.
Yeah, but Niner fans are being ridiculous. And also, the media is being ridiculous, asking these questions to Kyle Shanahan. The guy's a coach. He knows way more better than you guys. This needs to stop.
Do you hear that conference call?
Yes.
You hear the
Of course I did.
What
And
was it?
Eric Branch is having fun with him because they're close and everything, but I won't mention any names. There's certain people asking questions to Kyle where Kyle is just like, shut up. Shut the hell up.
Yeah. No, man, I get it, but like I think what the mindset of fans is too, and the reason that emotion really is getting in the way is because it feels like not you're taking a step back. I'm not saying you're taking a step back, but it's almost like you're rewinding like back a year. You know, it's like it's
Ernie's
just
got it.
it's the way it's the same exact thing that you were going through last year. It's just the same motions, the same movie. We've seen it before. They're probably going to go into the playoffs and probably break the hearts of many. And I know a lot of fans are spoiled in that way. And it's just like how many other teams really get to a championship. But I think that, yeah, I just think that, yes.
Get out of here, Jesse.
Yeah, all right, more bad. For those just tuning in, Ernie wasn't here at the beginning. Ernie, I almost choked from laughing so hard because Derek Papa said before we started that, do you think what Kyle Shanahan was doing was malpractice? Malpractice, Derek, malpractice.
I know.
Anyway,
I also say jury duty instead of jury duty.
Jerry Duty sounds a lot cooler, though.
Yeah, because Jerry Duty, I think, was the name of a Pauly Shore movie.
Really?
Yeah.
That's terrible. Oh man. Hard to, right. You know what? I wonder, you know what? Now that we're on the subject of Pauly Shore, I know
Pauly Shore.
I know we want to continue with
yeah, buddy.
We're gonna continue with football, but hey man, when's Pauly Shore's Oscar gonna come? You got Brendan Fraser. Now the Encino Man duo needs to get an Oscar nod here. When's Pauly Shore gonna get his shot?
Is Brendan Fraser been nominated for an Oscar that I'm not aware of?
Not yet, but he's gonna be
for
that movie, The Whale.
We'll see.
He is.
He didn't gain 600 pounds for the actual movie.
No, but he still had to put on all that costume and makeup and stuff. Apparently, it took hours. Like, you got to wake up early and just sit there and get all this stuff put on you and then go act. It's hard.
I do love me some Brendan Fraser. Loved the old Mummy movies and loved George of the Jungle.
Oh, George of the Jungle is my number one. That's what it's going to be a shock to me seeing Brendan Fraser like that. Actually, in my head, I'm going to pretend that the whale is George from George of the Jungle.
That's just sad.
And he just started eating like a lot of McDonald's.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's inside. Yeah. That's inside George of the Jungle knowledge right there. On top of the cable car eating McDonald's.
Yeah. And eating like raw coffee, like waiting for Ursula to come home.
Yeah.
Straight out of the Folgers. I may have to watch that later. All right, enough of this Trey Lance stuff. Or I should say, Trey Lance is getting hurt by Jimmy Garoppolo.
Okay, well, okay. Here's where what I'll ask you though. Like, where do you think the 49ers are within the NFC? Like,
now
the NFC looks wide open, man. Like, I know the Niners lost to the Bears, and that was a terrible loss. But they just took down the Seahawks in decent enough weather, and the defense.
Airheads, yes, Ernie. Airheads is a great Brendan Fraser movie. Sorry to cut you off, Steven.
Movie. But it's just, it feels to me right now that the NFC, the Eagles are probably the cream of the crop. But other than that, like the Packers kind of look lost, and everyone expected them to be a top team.
Yeah.
The Rams, I mean, they almost gave up that lead to the Falcons. Like they've had a struggle the first couple of games. Cardinals look like crap. I'm not going to believe in the Cardinals.
Should be 0-2.
The Raiders lost that game. The Cardinals didn't win that game.
I agree.
Even though Kyler Murray made an unbelievable throw. The Vikings, I mean, they just embarrassed themselves on Monday night. The Lions look good. Like, I think the Lions can make some waves here in the NFC if they keep this up and stay healthy. But really, man, like the Cowboys, they're a disappointment. I was totally wrong on the Cowboys. Like, I thought with Dak Prescott and everything, it was going to be all right.
Rush, baby.
But they stink. So I don't know, man. It seems like the 49ers are right there, and this is a good time for them to make their run.
I think so, man. I think just because of the unknown with Trey Lance, I have a lot more faith in them now. It's just tough. I'm not knocking Trey Lance as a player.
No,
I just don't know what he was going to bring. Like I said, like it's a lot to ask a guy who had minimal starts in college, then to take the reins and expect him to be Patrick Mahomes.
My guess is Kyle Shanahan is looking less at say like that throw to Brandon Ayuk in the Cardinals game where he hits him on the slant, and he's looking more at the interception that he threw in that Cardinals game,
Yes.
or the interception early in the Bears game that he threw to Roquan Smith. Like, that was bad. He did not he did not understand how to lead a defense with his eyes and control a defense with his eyes, which is what a lot of experienced quarterbacks do. And it's something that I was hoping that he would develop over time, but I have a feeling Shanahan was looking more at those interceptions as opposed to the good throws that he could possibly make, because the amount of throws that he had, like 13 for 28, was not good in the first game. Like, it's so.
But let's be real too. Jimmy Garoppolo, there's things that Kyle Shanahan that Jimmy does that infuriates Kyle. That's why they wanted to upgrade. Steve Young made a perfect point on Monday Night Countdown on Monday. That's redundant. He said that
you should have
Jimmy. The Monday Night Countdown show that's on Monday.
Yeah, at night.
Yeah, at night too. It's a countdown show. Jimmy Garoppolo should go to Kyle Shanahan and say, what do I need to improve on? Because you were going to fire me. And now I'm back. What do I need to do to get back in your graces? And it may just be that Jimmy doesn't have it. And that's why they made this move to go to Trey. But I don't know. I'm a broken record. The point is that you feel a little bit better with Jimmy because he's been there before. Is he going to make them a Super Bowl team? I don't know. But as far as like the top teams in the NFC, I think they're right there, man, because of their defense and Jimmy making the smart throws at times. It's not going to be sexy offense. It's not going to be what you expected with Trey Lance throwing, deep balls and everything. I mean, I think Danny Gray, we'll have to see how Jimmy Garoppolo throws to him. But I think they're right there. The Eagles, I think, are the most impressive team in the NFC right now. Jalen Hurts used very much like I think the way that the Niners want to use Trey Lance. He's improved his passing immensely. I think the addition of A.J. Brown helps him with that. The defense is great. They made Kirk Cousins look, as good as he was week 1, and that was mainly because of Justin Jefferson. He looked terrible in week 2. They have a great defense and so much around him. I'm not ready to go, full on board with the Eagles yet and saying that they're the best team in the NFC, but so far they're the most impressive. As far as the Bucs, defense has been the bright spot for them. Their offense is not clicking yet. They picked off Jameis Winston 3 times on Sunday.
Forgot about the Buccaneers.
Yeah. And by the way, we forgot to pick them in our Sunday picks, but I texted you later.
We were both right.
We were both right. By the way, I'll tell you for Sunday, you lost again.
Damn, really?
I know.
I thought I would have won. What was the score?
It was
it bad?
No, it wasn't bad. Hang on. 26-20.
Damn.
Yeah, it was close. But I'll get your glizzy straw ready to go.
Yeah, all right, that's fine. Whatever. We live.
So, yeah, Bucs defense has been playing well. I think that's what's keeping them in their games. Tom Brady, he's frustrated with that offense, that offensive line. I'm glad he's going to practice on Wednesdays because it was reported before that he was not going to. So if you're throwing a fit and yelling at guys and you're not showing up to practice on Wednesdays, that's a bad look in my opinion. But
see that photo that became a meme
of him with like which one?
Up at the podium,
cheeks, having no cheeks, like just bone.
The cheeks in the hat. What was my favorite one is he looked like the food critic from Ratatouille if he was going to Buffalo Wild Wings.
That's pretty good.
That's my favorite one.
The Packers, I don't know about them yet. It's easy to beat up on the Bears. You've done it so many times. I want to see how their offense really rolls when they got to throw and not rely on Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, who's going to be their number 1 receiver. The Rams, they really pissed away that game against the Falcons. They won the game in the end, but they should dominate that team. And Matthew Stafford's still throwing bad passes that get picked off. I'm not entirely sure about the Rams yet. They still may have a Super Bowl hangover a little bit. And leaving anybody else out in the NFC that's like the cream of the crop. The Giants are 2-0. I wasn't really impressed with their win over the Panthers. It was just like both teams couldn't score. So they're 2-0.
Giants are off to a fun little start, but I don't believe in it. I don't buy it.
We'll see about them. And so far, I've been impressed with the Eagles the most. And if we want to go around the whole league from week 2 game reactions, I think the most impressive thing about last weekend was the Dolphins comeback. Being down 35-14 and then scoring all those points in the fourth quarter. Tua we'll see how the season goes, and when they're in the cold weather against teams on the road and they need to run the ball. But he slung it, man. Was it 469 yards and 6 touchdowns? Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill going for like $190. Both
That's
of them.
That's my takeaway is give Jalen Waddle his respect. Like everyone's talking about how Tyreek Hill has changed up everything, and sure he has. Like
Jalen Waddle's a player,
but Jalen Waddle's so damn good. Like just don't. When you're talking about the core, you got to add Jalen Waddle into it because you can't just say, "Oh yeah, it's all Tyreek Hill." Like Waddle, he has hands, man. Like wide receivers aren't always going to make that catch in the end zone. It was a great throw, but wide receivers aren't always going to make that catch in that spot. Like Waddle's a stud.
No, he's a stud. So that they have a very high potent offense, but I'm very interested to see how they play against the Bills this weekend. That's gonna be a great game.
Yeah, man, that'll be a lot of fun. Did you see what Mike McDaniel said afterwards?
I got big balls.
No, hang on. I gotta pull it up. I'm going to pull it up. I gotta type one keyword. Hopefully that one keyword finds it. And it did not. Damn it.
What are you trying to find? What did he say? Just tell me.
I want to. Well, it's the delivery from him though. Is okay, why I want to find it.
You look it up while I go through some of these week 2 games.
God damn it! All right, you know what? I'm just gonna read it. I can't find it.
Okay.
Yeah, he said, "Quote: We just had a game where we were able to have the lead the whole game. So the night before, I told the guys that I was really hoping that we would get some adversity in this game, and I wanted to see how we respond to a deficit. Apparently, they took me way too literal."
He's funny. No, dude. I mean, he's boy genius right now with the offense. On the flip side, let me just say about the Ravens. Sometimes I give Lamar Jackson crap. I think he's having a better season. Like the MVP season was great. He led the league with touchdown passes, but I think people really were impressed with his running that season. And I'll be completely honest, I'm not a big running quarterback guy, but I've been very impressed with Lamar Jackson as a passer this season. He was throwing dimes in that first half. And then they just got a little stagnant, and the Dolphins came back and started throwing bombs. So I'm not going to put the blame on the offense. Lamar Jackson, I think, has been playing lights out, though.
Yeah, he's a stud. He's a stud. He's really good. Yeah, man. He's the real deal. Like he is. He's
gonna get that contract eventually.
Yeah, he should. He absolutely should.
Are the Colts frauds?
Not yet.
Not me. Yeah, but
give it time. But
Matt Ryan, oof,
he does not look good with a new team.
I mean, getting shut out 24-0. Frank Reich's going up against his former coach and Doug Peterson. Trevor Lawrence looked great. The Jaguars defense, I don't know if they're that good or the Colts offense is just not doing anything right now. They're one-dimensional with Jonathan Taylor. They were missing Michael Pittman and their rookie Alec Pierce. It doesn't look like Matt Ryan has a lot to throw to. I'm surprised the offensive line is not holding up, but damn, I thought the Colts were going to have 2 easy wins, and this Week 3 game against the Chiefs was going to be a battle of 2-0 teams, but not the case.
I mean, what I'm looking at you sparked something because I think the Jaguars have a chance to be okay, but again, it's the AFC, so it's like, but I mean, you could win the AFC South if the Colts continue to suck and the Titans continue to play the way that they're playing. But they do have Trayvon Walker just added, along with Josh Allen on that outside.
Yeah.
And who do you got here? You got Devin Lloyd. Remember Devin Lloyd?
Devin Lloyd. You mean Greg Lloyd?
He's a first rounder from 2022. It's a nice little joke. Then let's see.
What was the joke?
What?
What was the joke? You're saying the guy's name.
Yeah, but I was like, you remember him? He's a rookie.
I know Christopher Lloyd.
He's a rookie. I don't know. Trying to come up with jokes here as I'm doing this. Let's see. Tyson Campbell on the outside as a cornerback. Never heard of him.
He's looking your player.
Shaq Griffin, who from the Seahawks, he's really good.
No, they got players.
Yeah, they got some players on that defense.
Lloyd Christmas, thank you, Ernie. I'm not ready to buy into the Jaguars yet. I'm more confident in that the Colts can turn it around, and we're just getting a very sluggish start. But they got to prove it this weekend against the Chiefs. Lions kicking some Commander ass. They looked really good offensively. They lost to the Eagles week 1, and that was, if the Eagles are as good as they are, then that's not really a bad loss. So really dominant performance by the Lions, and Amon-Ra St. Brown having a fantastic season.
Amon-Ra?
Yeah. Am I saying that one wrong?
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
What was the difference in what I said? It was not anywhere near the male practice thing.
Leviosa. Amon-Ra. Amon-Ra.
Did you just go fucking like Harry Potter there to teach me something?
Look, man, you're catching me at a point of delusion. It's 7:20. Normally, this is like my bedtime. All right, I'm creeping around.
I'll go fast here. Patriots beat the Steelers. Solid win by the Patriots after their offense was not doing much in week 1. Talk about the Rams. They won the game, but they still got to prove something to me. The Cowboys. I don't know what's going. I don't know if it's more of an indictment on the Bengals not being able to block anybody after they improve their offensive line, supposedly, and they give up 7 sacks in the Super Bowl. But
not good.
Damn, someone's got to block for Joe Burrow.
Micah Parsons is a beast, though.
Yeah. No, he is. I mean, that was a good effort by the Cowboys with their quarterback going down for the foreseeable future, 4 to 6 weeks maybe. And Cooper Rush, 2-0 as a starter.
Oh,
feeling the rush.
Good. Oh, good for him.
Yeah. And we talked about the Bills and Eagles, probably the 2 best teams in football right now in their respective conferences.
Yep. All right.
Now, Bills kicking ass, man.
Yeah, man. The Bills are they're unbelievable. Like, Stephon Diggs has shown no sign of slowing down. The defense has just gotten better under Sean McDermott.
Yeah.
Like, Sean McDermott's a defensive guy. Clearly, there's no drop-off from Brian Daboll to Ken Dorsey, which I know there was some skepticism about. They're the real deal. But the Chiefs are the real deal too.
Yeah, no, that's true.
The Chiefs look damn good. I was wrong, man. I thought that, Tyreek was going to, not having him on the team. There's still a long way to go in the season, but they're holding up real well.
No, agreed. Real quick before we get out of here, Thursday night game tomorrow, Pittsburgh at Cleveland after the Browns. Let's talk about that real quick. The Browns, I mean, the Raider game was bad. This one, they were up 30-17 with like a minute and it's 2 minutes left, but to give up that game, that's like to go from like the expectations of the Browns, then go back to the same old Browns to lose to Joe Flacco and the Jets. Yikes.
Yeah, to score the touchdown that Nick Chubb did.
It would have ended the game.
After the 2-minute warning, instead of just going down, which is
missing
fine.
The extra point.
But you can't beat up on them after the defense just gives up a touchdown in 2 plays and then can't recover an onside kick. I understand what the problem for Nick Chubb, and I understand, why bettors would be mad at him, because I think some people had some heavy money on that game, but I don't know. It's hard to blame Chubb for that. God, just a mess.
I didn't blame him because he's on my fantasy team. And
Did you hear Joe Flacco afterwards?
No, what'd he say?
He was mic'd up and he's like, "Hey, can I get the football? Get the football? I won as a Jet."
3 different franchises.
Jet.
Good for him, man. I would have been like, Chubb, you got to fall down. He scored me my 3rd touchdown for fantasy, so that was good.
Dude, I scored 227 points in one of my leagues.
Nice.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. My
good week
with the team named Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
Thursday night game. The Pittsburgh Steelers go to the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are 5-point favorites, and the over-under is 38.5. Steven, what do you think?
5-point favorites, 38.5. I will probably take the under there. Because I just watched the Steelers play the Patriots, and the Steelers have no sign of life on offense at all. Najee Harris is trying to make plays, but he's going to get hit anytime he gets the ball in his hands. I would 38.5. What's the spread again? Give me the spread one more time.
5.
5. That's a large number. No, I think the Browns win. I think they win this one handily. It's at home. Yeah, let me lay the points with the Browns, and I'll take the under on that.
All right, I'm gonna go the same as you because that's what I think is gonna happen. I think the Browns come back and are angry from their terrible, terrible loss. All right, Sleepy, let's get out of here. Hopefully, we have better things to talk. Well, we do a pregame show on Sunday, so we'll see you Sunday. Steven, you coming over?
Maybe.
Come on.
To be determined.
I'll have the glizzy ready to go.
Oh, that sounds weird. That sounded
sweetens
really,
the deal, baby.
That sounds really weird.
The glizzy in a beer too, huh?
The way that you are wording this, can we just get out now? Good
All
Lord.
right, fine. Say what you always say, Steven.
It's just our opinion, man. Why'd you have to do that? Male practice.